I like to start this video off by calling a spade a spade. Over the past couple years, DC has given us 6-5-4, 3 too much media on the same handful of characters. Now, hear what you're saying. On one hand, why reinvent the wheel? These are characters we know, these are characters we love, and these are characters we don't mind mindlessly consuming. If the casual DC fan and general public say we want Batman, well, guess what? We're gonna give them Batman Cape Crusader. What's that? You want some more Batman? Well, we'll give you the Batman 2006. You say you want some more Batman? Throw in Batman Unlimited. You say that's still not enough Batman? Well, how about we give them Batman The New Adventures, or Batman The Animated Series, or let's give them Batman The Brave and the Bold. Still not enough? How about Batman Beyond? When does it get to a point where we are Batmaned out? How many times can you rewrite the same character and keep fans interested? Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, and now Creature Commandos are pop culture because of the ability of James Gunn to make you care about characters that you would not have known prior to his work. If you would have asked somebody random before 2015, what does I am Groot means? They would look at you crazy and you would hear crickets. Nobody knew Star-Lord before 2015. Nobody knew the Guardians of the Galaxy before James Gunn's reboot. They were not important, okay? They were not popular until James Gunn made them popular. And that's the risk James Gunn has been taking, and he's been soaring with these past few bodies of work. He knows how to take an unlikely, unknown, unpopular group of characters and make you care about them. High risk, high reward. Let me break this thing down further, okay? Don't let me lose you, because I have a tendency to lose those who cannot keep up, okay? James Gunn, through this show, humanizes the monsters, but villainizes the normal people. I put normal in quotations because it's relative, okay? It's subjective, okay? So Gunn uses this show that's wrapped in God-tier animation as a device to show people and parallel what really happens today, what's been happening through society. Amanda Waller, she doesn't see these metahumans as human, as people and with cognitive ability and the ability to feel and understand. She sees them as monsters, which is why she has Rick Flag Sr. Lead their team, because she can't use humans anymore. She has to use monsters. So she doesn't even recognize them as living sentient beings, just objects to be discarded at her discretion. The princess that they were trying to protect mercilessly ends Nina's life. You can see the killer, the monster in her eyes as she continues to turn and push that knife into her. Never mind. Nina was so useless, by the way. G.I. Robot was created for one purpose: to hunt down Nazis and unalive them. He did that purpose, and when he was auctioned off and bought sometime later by a neo-Nazi, and he executed his purpose, he was seen as a monster just because he was acting out of his creation purpose. He was a product of his environment. The environment was to create a weapon, right, to turn the tide on the war. His programming, destroy Nazis. When he did that, acting out of his programming, he was seen as a monster. The Bride was created with no sense of independency. From her conception, she was created as an accessory to somebody else. And when she rejected him, not only did she create a stalker and a predator, but she was also groomed and coerced into relations by somebody who was supposed to be an authoritative figure. This man brought her into the world and coerced her into relations with him. It's like your daughter. It was wrong. So Victor Frankenstein is actually the real monster here, and you can see a contrast to the Bride. She had no choice coming into the world. She had no choice really being engaging in relations, and even to this day, she had no choice being inserted into the Creature Commandos. She didn't ask to be the leader. She didn't ask for any of those things. It just happened outside of her control. So the way she responds to those things is because of what she went through. Do you get what I'm saying? Let me talk. Weasel looked like a monster, but he was trying to save those kids. He was trying to save them kids, but because he couldn't speak and defend himself, people automatically assume because of his appearance, somebody assumed because of his, people assume because of his appearance that he was automatically evil, that he was automatically a monster, not knowing what this man done been through, not knowing what his objective was in trying to save them kids. And because of that, them kids passed away. Because man wants to judge the man wants to judge the outward appearance, but God, he looks at the inner man. Rick Flag is the only normal or just human character that doesn't see them as monsters, that, you know, isn't contrasted by the things that he does. When he first got on the team, Dr. Phosphorus tried to fight him for control of the electric collars. He was confused why Dr. Phosphorus was fighting him, and he simply told him, we on the same team, like, why are you fighting me? You're my teammate, like, we're on the same squad. There's no need for that. When Eric Frankenstein came to hunt him down, he just wanted to talk. He said, can we just talk about this instead of doing all this fighting? He was appalled at how Dr. Phosphorus and Weasel was whooping Cersei's backside. He was appalled by how they was fighting because it seemed inhumane. He was the only person human that seen these as part of his team and not just monsters to be discarded. All these characters involved have some kind of backstory that makes the viewer reflect in their own lives times that they've looked at somebody different and viewed them as a monster just because of what they've seen, or times they've been viewed as a monster or different because of things that they've done differently or experiences that they've had that contrast with the norm. And so for me, as I'm watching this, I can relate to these characters and I have something to care about. Now I'm empathetic towards each character. Now the stakes are higher. Now the decisions are more grave. Now everything is more intense because I have more of an investment to each of these characters, because now I can relate in a deeper way. And this is what James Gunn does. He makes us care about these characters. I think the final way James Gunn makes us care about unknown characters just through animation and pacing. So this animation, to me, is gorgeous. The choreography is gorgeous. The character designs are gorgeous, right? They contrast starkly from the clunky, blocky, blotched, dark and dull colors and designs of the DC animated universe, like Batman versus Robin, Son of Batman, Justice League War, Flashpoint, all the designs for those DC characters are horrendous. So already this animation and the character designs are leagues ahead of what we've had previously to consume. This show has its own identity, which gives it a uniqueness, which makes us a little bit more invested. The colors are vibrant, the choreography is really good. These are characters that we've never seen before, and they catch our eye. Eric Frankenstein doesn't look like any Frankensteins we've seen, but he looks similarly enough. So when you see this version or this variant of Frankenstein, you immediately think about Creature Commandos, and because of how unique his design is. I've never seen any mediums with Weasel or Dr. Phosphorus. He was on The Batman, but he was just Phosphorus. So to see him here, it's like, okay, this is something new. He looks cool. I want to know more about him. So the animation gives this show an identity that's different than other properties that we've seen with some of these characters or none of these characters, and it has us intrigued and invested. The other thing is the pacing. So with such a short amount of episodes in a season, this show doesn't seem like it's rushing anything. This show has an equal amount of focus for an entire roster of characters. Mind you, there's a lot of characters on this show, And so the story doesn't just stay on one character or stay on one plot or stay on one subplot for so long. It rotates equally, so we have more investment in each of these characters. So we have more investment in how it rolls together to form or to push the plot forward. These are things that this show does with its pacing, and it's never too much. It's never too little. The pace is just enough for us to keep up, for us to want more, and for us to be satisfied at the end of the episode with what we just consumed. And I think that's something very difficult to balance, especially with characters that we don't really know or we don't typically care about until now. And I have nothing but praise for this show. James Gunn has done yet another commendable job with making us see characters that we wouldn't typically see and care about them and be invested in this show. When a team is passionate about a project or a body of work, it shows, and it's abundantly clear. With the way Creature Commandos was handled, I can tell everybody involved in that project were invested heavily and they cared about it. They were able to do that in a well-polished way, right? The writers respected the characters, they gave them depth, they gave us something to relate to, and they also were not afraid to kill characters or write characters off that we built attachments to. Now we're more invested because the decisions are grave. We know that danger could be with any one of these characters, and now we don't want them to die. We don't want them to be written off, especially when we've grown that attachment. And because the writers are respecting this show and this property, we feel it through each episode. And so because of those reasons, this has given Creature Commandos an identity, right? So we have a unique roster of characters. We feel for those characters, and through the unique animation and pace, the show has created an identity which makes us now care about unknown characters we would not care about before. Creature Commandos is peak animation, and if this is the direction that the DC universe is going, all I can say is that they're going to have a lot of success, and they're going to turn a lot of heads of fans that were formerly pushed away by the work of the former DC movies. I just want to remind you guys, just change your perception of how you see people. I think it's safe to say that we're all monsters to somebody, but it's up to us to define the extent of those monstrosities.
This is your captain speaking.
And I'll see y'all on the next one.